nationwide dealers. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no
Now it works?
obligation
Okay,
to
cool.
buy. Call or go
Thank
online
you.
now. So the next time there's a power outage,
Okay, thank you.
powers up. Power your
For
life.
some reason, I'm not getting like the audio.
To request your free
Uh,
quote today.
like I'm not getting levels on TikTok Live.
Remove the chore of scooping and trap the smell, even in a
Oh yeah, Teak.
After your cat exits, litter robot cycles within minutes, separating the clean litter from the dirty clumps, dropping them into the tightly sealed floor below. So you don't have to think about it until the Whisper app notifies you. Goodbye odor. Goodbye scooping. Goodbye litter box. Hello?
Yeah, I for one really, really love spending like close to $800 on something that steals my work and trains its AI on it to put me out of a job eventually. I love the Adobe overlords. I just woke up, I mean, relatively recently, not just. I woke up around 7:30, 7:45 maybe. Oh, you lost, oh, damn, I'm sorry. So we're waiting to hear. Hi, Caglio. What are those fucking eyeballs for? Aren't you at work?
What a Fool Believes, winner of the Grammy Awards for both Song and Record of the Year in 1979.
Here we're probably going to get a SCOTUS ruling today on Trump immunity
Alongside Kenny Loggins. It's also the title of
in like
Michael's
7 minutes.
new
Thanks for the
memoir,
follow, Teak.
co-written with his friend, actor, and comedian Paul Reiser. What a Fool Believes tells Michael's story of being a high school dropout from Ferguson, Missouri, taking readers through his journey to musical stardom, both with the Doobie Brothers and also as a solo artist. And Michael McDonald and Paul Reiser.
Same, Caglio.
Now, it's great to have you both
I'm going to have to
with
like
us.
stop the live once
Michael, I'll start
the
with
ruling
you.
comes out to make a little post
Tell
about
us
it.
how the title reflects your story.
Oh, boy.
And how and why you and Paul decided to get together to write this together.
Well, first of all, I'm still pinching myself with the remarkable luck of, you're going to write a book for the first time and somebody with Paul's skill set says, oh, I'll help you. And that was pretty remarkable in by itself. We've known each other for 20 years and Paul's always been interested in what makes people tick, or, being an actor and having his background as a writer and an author. An actor, I thought to myself, God, I can't pass this up, and this is an opportunity of a lifetime. So, something I probably would have never got around to.
Yeah.
I only think.
So, thank you, Daniel. You too. No, still not done, Elliot. Basically, they're going to rule on presidential immunity, like, or I guess I should look up the specific. It's like some fucking, I think it's overall presidential immunity.
And as we wrote the book, as the book kind of came to life, in our own minds, the story kind of developed as we wrote it. It seemed more apropos, with each chapter we wrote. So,
Yeah, it's on the immunity. So basically, it's like, can a president be prosecuted for things he does while in office? Which, you would hope yes. Otherwise, Biden could just Trump right now.
So a lot of your books have been kind of inner-directed. Obviously, a different muscle using, obviously writing about Frank.
Right, Boardman. I mean,
talk to me about the kind of difference in the process there.
you'd think, right? The fact that we have to have the Supreme Court fucking spend months thinking about it.
My personal use. It was Mike's story, and to be honest, it was very selfish because I don't know Mike's actual history. So I said, write a book. And he said, well, I'm not sure how I would do that. I said, well, we'll help it. So the reality is, it's all Mike's writing. It's Mike's story. He lived it. And my contribution was just sort of, I would push him and say, that's funny. Let's dig deeper into that, or let's, this is a great story, but maybe it doesn't belong to your book. And so I was just sort of, the eyes and ears, but Mike was very strikingly honest and forthcoming about his life and where he would have done things differently.
Ba-dum bum ba-dum. Ba-dum bum ba-dum. Ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum bum ba-da-da-da-da-da.
I was really gratified. I get it now. I know who this guy is. I have even more respect for him and admiration after now knowing his full story.
Paul, Molly, John Fast. I'm curious if there was anything, so you've written books alone, to write a book with another person is a completely different experience. Was there anything where you guys got stuck and you were like, couldn't resolve it, or any sort of, did it change the friendship at all? I mean, just speak to me about that experience a little bit.
Well, you know what? It was more fun than writing alone because I had somebody else to complain to. But yeah, what are we doing here? No, we never got stuck, And we started this a couple of years back, just when lockdown started, and it was very convenient because we had no jobs. Nobody was going anywhere. So it became just sort of this fun thing. And at the start, there was no publisher, there was no deal. We just said, let's do this, and if it's fun, we'll do it. And if at any point it's not fun or it's not making you happy, Mike, we'll just pull the plug. And so it was really just done it was very easy. We zoomed, we did this, we talked, and I would ask questions, and Mike would tell stories on them, and I would just type it up. And there was no shortage of great stories, and not only Mike's history, but really a great view of rock and roll history. Mike's career spans this wide breadth of American music and music business. So it's a fascinating read, I feel, on a couple of levels. And hopefully Mike is happy that he said yes.
The New York Times bestseller, What a Fool Believes, a memoir.
I agree, Boardman.
Is on
That's
sale
a
now.
technocracy,
Co-authors
technically.
Michael McDonald and Paul Reiser. Thank you both so much for being on the show this morning. We needed that.
I mean, that's what a cabinet is supposed to be,
Now, the Supreme Court will issue a ruling
Ooh,
on
any
Donald
moment
Trump's
now.
immunity claim. Katie Turr picks up the coverage in 1 minute.
Oh.
Your vote will
Oh boy.
it will live in the Supreme Court. Your
Oh,
vote will
boy.
decide what century we live in. Will we live in an age of legal and constitutional enlightenment, or will we live in 1864? Your vote is not just about the next 4 years. Your vote is nothing less than an exercise in incredible intergenerational power that will live long after you.
Of your health. And since this life insurance is guaranteed, you don't have to get a medical exam. In fact, you don't even have to fill out a health questionnaire. For a free quote, just call 800-446-1479. Then when you stop,
I should probably
your family can use
do my makeup and stuff
your final expenses or
in preparation of having to make a post, honestly.
Your kids already inherit ears, allergies, and questionable symptoms. Don't make them inherit the final expense tab too.
Good to be with you. It is 10 a.m. here in New York. I'm Katie Turr in for Ana Cabrera. We are moments away from, quote, a
Oh, boy.
for the ages. The Supreme Court has 4 decisions left to issue.
4 decisions.
They just have this morning to issue them, including the decision whether a president enjoys immunity for what they do while in office. A decision so big and so significant, Justice Neil Gorsuch said during oral arguments they would be, quote, writing a rule for the ages, the top. What will the justices decide, and what will it mean for special counsel Jack Smith's criminal case against Donald Trump and his effort to overturn the 2020 election results? Let us jump right in. I'm joined now by MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin, former FBI General Counsel Andrew Weissman, former U.S. Attorney and senior FBI.
What are you referring to specifically, John?
Former acting Solicitor NBC's Yamiche Alcindor, who is outside of the Supreme Court. So Yamiche, lay it all down for us.
Well, this is sure to be a consequential day at the Supreme Court, where the justices are set to decide on this Trump immunity case. Of course, the former president, Donald Trump, is arguing that he's absolutely immune from criminal prosecution. All of this, of course, is connected to his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, with special counsel Jack Smith saying that he broke the law when he
Sorry, Philippe is snoring in the background.
get fake electors, and when he was trying to get
If you
the
can hear him.
Justice Department to take actions that would allow him to hold on to power in the 2020 election. So there are big questions here before the Supreme Court.
Who,
You said
though?
there are 4 cases, but the big one is this one, and it could, in fact, change the presidency as we know it here in America, given the powers that this presidency might have after this ruling. So any minute now, we could get that decision. So we're going to be standing by to figure out what's going on here and sort of what the decision is. Now, the devil might be in the details here. This could be a complicated decision.
What senator?
Here, so we're going to make sure that we can get it
And what are the charges?
But it is a very big day here, and history will be made no matter what justices decide today. Katie.
So just to bring you guys into what's going on behind the scenes.
They're about to rule. I think they have 4 decisions to rule, and they have to do them today, or the session is like.
For about 10:10 to see if we get another. There are 4 cases. That means it could go to 10:40. If they
4 cases could go to 10:40.
2 cases together, that means it will go to 10:30. They're also issued in the order of youngest to oldest, not youngest to oldest, but less senior to more senior serving on the court.
Thanks for the
So
follow,
the
Nathan.
justices at the right
Sorry, guys, I'm just doing
will issue the first decisions, and then it will go
my
from
like
there.
skincare,
Senior
and
justice, right, and then
so I can put like
that'll come in later. So we could
I don't know if I'll put makeup on, but maybe some mascara on, because as soon as the ruling drops, I'm gonna have to obviously hop off and make a TikTok about it.
things can get a little moved as we go. Once we get the decision, Yamiche just mentioned that it might take some time to go through it. So we will have a team here reading through it to find out exactly what it says, exactly what it means. Here's our team. For the
Oh, it's a big day.
Donald Trump and
I also need to I can't be wearing this when I'm reporting on the fucking, probably the biggest decision.
he tried to overturn the 2020
Probably the biggest decision.
criminally liable for it. So, Andrew Weissman, there are 3 options in front of us, according to most people who've been looking at this. One, he has
Supreme Court is going to rule on whether or not presidents are immune from criminal prosecution for acts taken while in office.
The first thing I would say is the decision is the fact that there's been no decision until today. And the reason I say that is that I think that there is no way that there is going to be a trial before the general election, and that, frankly, is the big story.
explain why.
Because there has been a stay in effect at the district court level.
Yeah,
So
of
no
course.
pretrial proceedings
No, I get it, J-Word.
anywhere since December.
You too.
And the judge has said,
Thanks for
the
stopping by.
district judge, that from December to the initial trial date of March was going to be used to allow Donald Trump to have pretrial preparation, discovery, argued motions. So that's about 80 days, a little bit more. So if you add 80 days to where we are today, assuming that there's a green light today.
I mean, yes and no, Gov.
That brings you
But you
perilously
clearly
close
think
to the election, and whether Judge Chutkan
they
is
should
gonna
be
have
fully
a
immune?
trial
So you think that Biden should be able to pew pew
that seems quite questionable, but there also won't be time for a verdict.
tea and
on that schedule.
get away with
So
it
the thing that
completely?
I'm looking for is I think there will be a mixed bag. I think there will be some area where they say there is immunity, and that will be a very limited area, and I think that will be the majority. But they only sort of hope for some sort of hearing is if
Thank
the
you for
court
the
says, you know,
rose,
we're leaving
Selena.
to the district court to decide what's
Selena.
official and immune and what's official but not immune.
You believe in
And
immunity?
that is
Cool,
sort of
so
the
Biden can get rid of
possible
Trump.
silver lining in terms of the general public getting more evidence, getting to hear, for instance.
In fact, you should do it today if
So
you.
there's an evidentiary
if he's
hearing
totally
going
immune
through
from
all
prosecution.
that, Jack Smith has.
Great.
And that's not a trial. It's not going to lead to a guilty, not guilty outcome, but it is going to lay
Thanks for
out
the
to
follow.
public what Jack Smith believes Donald Trump did.
It will. And Katie, I should also
I agree, Gov.
the concession at oral argument by John Sauer, former President Trump's attorney, that a number of the allegations in the indictment were facially what he would call private acts for which there is no immunity. So
you can expect those to go forward, but also, to Andrew's point, potentially be put on hold while we have this sort of mini trial or evidentiary hearing about which of these allegations are sufficiently official versus private.
What did Mr. Sauer concede was not official?
Well, he had a long exchange with Justice Barrett, and she said, I want to know if you, and I'm reading to you from the transcript, agree or disagree about the characterization of these acts as private. She gave him
Sorry, I'm just texting some of my mods.
turned to a private attorney who was
It
willing
tends to get a little wild in here.
false claims of election fraud to spearhead his challenges to the election results. Private? Sauer conceded yes. Then she said,
Okay,
he conspired with
Jeva?
another private
Jevons?
attorney, meaning John Eastman, who caused the filing in court of a verification signed
Hi,
by Trump
Josh.
that contained false allegations to support a challenge. Private? He said that also sounds private. And then the third was 3 private actors, 2 attorneys, including those mentioned above, and a political consultant, helped to implement a plan to submit fraudulent slate of presidential electors to obstruct the certification proceeding. And your client directed that effort. And he said that's private too. In other words, the entirety of the fake elector scheme, Sauer conceded at
Oh, that jazz? Yeah, Josh, that's been a while.
not part of his argument as to what would qualify for immunity. That's an enormous
Oh, yeah. Hi, R-Star. Well, it's not getting wild yet, but it tends to,
Interesting debate
as you know, I believe.
you on, and
at
this
this
is something
point.
that Justice Kavanaugh seemed interested in, which is that you can't apply general criminal law, general criminal code, to the presidency. Why not?
Well, the claim is that the president is so unique that every time Congress passes a
Exactly,
general criminal
B-Lam.
law, they have to say, and by the way, it
Oh,
applies to the
nice,
president.
Josh.
So we have a prohibition against homicide, and you're supposed to say homicide is illegal, land you in jail, and by the way, this applies to the president. That's a crazy way of thinking about our constitutional system. I don't suspect that that should attract 5 votes. It's just not the way things are done.
It's a little too early for my
Normally,
mods.
above the law, and the law is written for everyone.
I
Obviously,
think.
if the law is an exception for the president, that's one thing, but there's no kind of necessary clear statement that's required. Katie, I also just want to bring our viewers a little bit into the scenes of what's happening at the court right now, because I've been there for most of these last day of the term.
What does, Jevons, what does that have to do with presidential
Justice reads an
immunity?
opinion, and as you said, it's the
Give me a
least
minute.
senior justice that's going to start the opinion reading. Here it was Justice Barrett reading an opinion in Corner Post, which is about the administrative.
Jevons, you
procedures Act.
agree?
That's going on right now. If the dissenters,
Hi, Banks.
the so-called 3 liberal justices, if they disagree,
Bro spilled my rights right on the
then
floor.
they'll start reading their opinion, and that can take you to 10.
Am I gonna jump up and down?
10:15, maybe even 10:20. That 10-minute increment rule that
No?
you referenced doesn't exist anymore. That was
Oh,
only
nice. I haven't
for
seen
the
Crash in a
members,
minute.
in the
Jevons,
office.
so
now
wait,
there is actually
you're
documents
saying
in the court as we report to our viewers, and it could take longer. So we could get, the next decision should. Which is-
Jevons, you're arguing for presidential immunity because if Harry, like Prince Harry, did
there may be some dissents that are
something
read from the bench,
bad,
and that would take us anywhere from 10:30 to maybe 10:50.
we would send him back to
start time on
England?
the cases that we're waiting for.
It is a sensible belief.
I don't understand your point, Jevons.
That Justice Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts, would be the one to write this decision. Neil Gorsuch called it a rule for the ages, and that's what they were writing during oral arguments. Is that what you're feeling as well?
Monarchs, presidents. Yeah, you're saying that monarchs, presidents get. You're saying that Americans give monarchs and presidents special privileges. So you're saying that we should be, that presidents should have total immunity for stuff that they do while in office? I think they're talking about Prince Harry.
In the case led by Justice Alito did, so he couldn't write that opinion because he wasn't effectively the true majority.
Correct,
opinion
Achilles.
writer. But here, in a case like this, I suspect that he's going to have outsized
you're correct.
influence. Indeed, I suspect much of the last months have been the chief trying to persuade each of the justices to sign one unanimous opinion with one line of reasoning. That's undoubtedly his goal.
President did not do anything wrong. What does that have to do with presidents having immunity? That's what a trial is for, Jevons. What you're saying is that the president should be completely immune from anything he does in office, to which I would say, if that's true, Biden will take out Trump today, or he should at least, right? In theory.
We've seen the court breaking 6-3
right? If a president is completely immune from anything they do while in office, then Biden can do whatever the fuck he wants now.
Everyone watching
That's
this
good
show,
to know.
because it will usher in massive deregulation of the economy in areas like the environment, consumer protection, and the like.
And there's also questions of whether OSHA can operate,
Allie.
whether workplace safety will be able to operate as it has.
Do I know you?
Justice Jackson is now reading her dissent. That's going to push us a little bit further back. Justice Barrett, right before she read her majority opinion, joked that this was not the case that people were coming to see today. No, it is not. I find so interesting that you, as a member of the public, anyone out there, can go to the Supreme Court and can hear this for yourself. You can hear oral arguments during any individual case. You can also be there for these days that we're watching right now, just as long as you get there early enough to get a seat.
Not quite. Hot pocket.
Big questions I still have about this, Chuck, and I know a lot of people have this as well, is why was this case even agreed to be heard in the first place?
I just have MSNBC on in the background, but I've
Kennedy,
got like
said basically that
other
during oral
news
arguments.
sources
She
here.
said, wasn't the whole point that the president was not a monarch and the president was not supposed to be above the law? Wasn't the whole point of the revolution to break away from that system?
I'm actually just watching my boy and my dog cuddle.
Katie, but that's what the Supreme Court does. They weigh in on big legal questions. This is a big legal question. It has to do with whether or not a
Yeah, right, Achilles?
not just Mr. Trump.
So they
is
start
immune from
dropping
prosecution. And
things
so,
at
while I think the
10
issue
a.m.
is well litigated,
and
well
it's usually
briefed,
about 10-15 minutes between
I was not at all surprised that the
rulings,
Supreme Court
starting
took
with
this
rulings
case
issued
seriously.
by, or opinions written by like least senior justice to most senior justice. However, if they choose to read out part of the ruling, it can take longer than that.
Without a rule
Thank
that
you
says
for
the
the heart me,
president is immune.
Achilles.
Why does it need a rule on paper now saying the president is immune for this act and that act? What has changed?
Well, again, a simple answer, but I hope not a simplistic one. I mean, what has changed is that the president has been indicted. And any president who's been indicted, I mean, so far we've had 45 men.
Ain't nobody
serve
immune to
46
JFK haircut.
presidencies. I imagine any of them who have been indicted.
In the sense that
they were immune
they're
to
not immune to
prosecution.
getting
So
one, or they're not
Trump
immune
was
to.
indicted. He
Ooh,
raised the issue. He
I'm seeing
litigated the issue. He has lost so far in district court and in the Court of Appeals. And my assumption, Katie, is that he will mostly lose again, except
You wanna
back
hang
to
out?
Andrew's point.
I do, but
Well,
I have.
our entire fate is decided.
Oh yes, it's so important.
It is important.
I know, but also. Ben Spanner is coming to grab something from me, and then I have to go to my meeting place at 1.
Reasonable view that
But
the Supreme
I'll-
Court would want to put its stamp on this
I'll
issue.
let you know when I'm done
I'm not
with
sure everyone would
stuff.
agree with that, but let's take that as a
Okay.
given. This was first raised
you.
to them by Jack Smith in December. There is no reason they couldn't have done one of two things. One,
Jevons, you don't understand. You clearly don't understand what's going on.
precedent.
Immunity has nothing to do with whether or not Trump is guilty. You can think that Trump is innocent, but still believe that presidents should not have total immunity.
They could have just done it a lot faster.
You understand? I mean, no, you don't understand that clearly.
Pending criminal case right
There's
now.
also a pending election.
Exactly. But
I know,
it's a
Christopher,
case,
don't get me
you know,
started.
We're not here about the election, but there is a public right to a speedy trial, not just the defendant's right, but as a public right.
Yep,
So,
toxin.
in my experience, when I've litigated, when there is a pending criminal matter, things go quickly.
I bring up the election because isn't it the public's right also to know what the guy who's running for president again tried to do in the last election? Don't they have the right to see all of that evidence and see the argument made by the special counsel before the election in a timely way to help them decide whether
That
they
doesn't
want
make
this
Jevons.
man
You
to
clearly
run the
you've no
country
idea
again.
what's going on.
Absolutely, but I think there's like a slight definitional thing, which is that I think there is that right that we all have, but in terms of a criminal case, I think that the court would view it more in terms of its public right to the trial.
Exactly,
It gets to
Cyber.
the same point. The other thing, by the way, that the court could have done.
I mean, not just common sense, but literally like the entire point, as people keep pointing out, the entire point
proceedings.
of like the United States was they're like, we reject the idea of a monarchy where the leader is completely immune and above the law. Like the entire point the U.S. was set up that was like,
Had to follow precedent.
we're gonna have a democracy, not a monarchy. We're gonna like reject the idea that one person is somehow, or a family of people are somehow completely above
Go ahead and do the pre-trial proceedings.
the law and are not answerable to anyone.
Could have done.
They're answerable to us. It's the entire idea of a democracy.
Anything but really weighing in, at least de facto, on immunity for this former president.
Neil, I'd love to get you to jump in on this.
Yeah, no, I think that
Are those
Andrew
are the Tide
is-
Pods yours?
Is basically right that the court
Tide
sure they
Pods.
could have taken the case, but they should have taken it
laundry
in
pods.
December, or if they're going to take it in February as they did here, they could have let the pretrial proceedings.
I got your shorts yesterday.
They're not mine. I think
Okay,
some
I'll leave
willingness to
them.
have that happen. Let the Supreme Court was made the absolute immunity question.
I'll put them
My
back.
first case was Bush versus Gore, which was decided in a matter of days. From time of agreeing to hear the case to briefing to oral argument to decision.
You set up for a lot of reasons.
Versus Nixon.
Thanks.
Nixon Tape's case back in 1974 is probably the best analog. It was similar questions of presidential wrongdoing. The court decided that in a matter of weeks. Here we're talking about a matter of months, and at a time when the court knows full well that there's a
Thanks
presidential
for the follow,
election
Carlos.
about to happen, and that the American people don't know.
The rulings start dropping at 10 a.m., so we're basically waiting. There are four rulings that are going to come out today, like almost definitely. Otherwise, they have to because today's like the last day that they can basically release them. The rulings, I mean, they basically release documents, for rulings, and sometimes one of the justices will read out an opinion. If they're just releasing the documents, it takes 10 to 15 minutes between rulings. But if they read, sometimes it takes longer. And then the rulings are issued in order of who wrote the opinion, least senior to most senior.
All right, Lisa. I want to dovetail back to something that Andrew said.
Yeah, no, Chip.
Delay being the win here, because one of the options that Jack Smith presented the court with was in December.
I agree,
let me
Gov.
leapfrog the D.C. Circuit Court. Let you hear this immediately. That's what Andrew was referring to. And he knew it was coming. He knew it was coming, and I want to point out.
Okay, well, Adam, I mean, on the other flip side, if they decide that presidents are immune, then Biden can literally go on a rampage right now.
They certainly know how to do it.
He could get rid of every Republican in the government, and then some, and he'd be completely above any sort of prosecution. In fact, he could get rid of all the Supreme Court justices that suck. And you understand what I mean by get rid of, right? Let's just follow this through.
This case will take roughly 3 months. Well, now
They're completely immune, just don't forget who's in power right now.
not to allow that leapfrogging to happen when Jack Smith asked for it has serious
You don't think they already did? I'm sorry, Jevons. You are saying that Hillary and Bill got rid of every single
She said if the potential for criminal liabilities off the table,
Republican in the government?
a significant risk that future presidents would be emboldened to commit crimes with abandon while they're in office. It's right now the fact that we're having this debate because OLC, Office of Legal Counsel, has said the president might be.
I mean, Dodson's. You're suggesting the Secret Service will not allow that to happen. So you think that the Secret Service has more power than the president? So if the president, who has absolute immunity, according to what you want, to what you claim you want, if the president decides, I want to go to war with, Russia, for example, the Secret Service can be like, no. And similarly, if the president says, oh, execute my political enemies, the Secret Service can be like, no, Mr. President. Well, if the president is fucking immune from everything, the president can do whatever the fuck they want, and the Secret Service can't do anything to stop them. And they just can't.
Doesn't that also send kind of a chilling vibe to presidents, knowing that they can do official acts with
Well,
immunity?
I would say that the police shouldn't have immunity ready.
Question for an oral argument. It sounds a little
Exactly, Cyber.
law schoolish to me. We haven't had
Yeah, Nanya.
Canadian
I'm expecting some sort of
since the
zhuzhing.
founding of this nation. We've had 2 presidents, as far as I know, who could have been on the hook Nixon and Trump.
Yeah, exactly, Kevin. They want a lawless president right now? You know how easy that'll make it for the rest of us?
There's a really interesting,
Fine.
I think,
Biden will just,
demonstrates why
you
it's
know.
valuable to have some sort of official act of unity. In
Thanks for the
2011,
follow,
when Barack
real
Obama was
Chloe.
president, he ordered that
Riz,
a
can you wait?
US-born person, Anwar al-Awlaki,
Can you
born
wait?
in New Mexico, living in Yemen, who had pledged loyalty to al-Qaeda, be the target of a drone strike because of his terrorist ties. Obama ordered it. Al-Awlaki was killed. And at least in theory, by the way, I think it was an absolutely appropriate thing for President Obama to do as commander-in-chief, based on the input from his intelligence community, his military community, and his Justice Department. Absolutely appropriate. No quarrel with it. But there is a federal criminal statute, 18 U.S.C. 1119, that makes it a federal crime for a U.S. person, let's say Obama, to kill another U.S. person, let's say Al-Awlaki, in some third country, Yemen. Should Mr. Obama be prosecuted for that? Absolutely not. Not under any rational,
Yeah, but their argument is that what if there's an irrational set of prosecutions to come in this new era that we're living in? By the way, just to mention,
I don't know where my good glasses are.
decisions, which means that we are now in immunity territory. It could come at any moment. Go ahead, Chuck.
Right. So, under an irrational successor hypothetical,
Exactly, Mike.
Katie, someone comes in and thinks Mr. Obama should be prosecuted for ordering the murder, the killing of Anwar al-Awlaki.
Cyber.
The crazy successor scenario. It would be
Yeah, right, easy? Easy reader?
to have official act
Pete?
immunity. Did Mr. Obama
Whatever happens, you're good. Okay, Jevons. That's because you don't understand what's going on. I keep trying to tell you. You should probably take a step back on this one.
It makes sense to carve out some immunity. The hard part, the tricky part, is what is an official act and what is not an official act, and how are we going to decide it?
All right, so again, we're in the immunity zone. We are waiting for this decision. We are going to talk about the politics that will come along with this as well. NBC News
I'm
correspondent
independent,
Michael
Jevons.
joins us, along with NBC News correspondent Yvonne Hilliard and Peter Baker, chief White House correspondent for the New York Times, also an MSNBC contributor. All right, so Vaughn, tell us how the Trump team
Wow,
is-
good times, Sonny.
I mean, just this morning,
Wow.
on social media post, Donald Trump, he called for strong immunity to come from the Supreme Court decision, which we should note is different than absolute immunity, which he had called for months. Of course, that's because his own attorney Sauer, in front of the Supreme Court, as you guys have acknowledged, conceded on multiple fronts that some of the actions that he took around the events of the 2020 election.
I mean, I'm not going to completely discount the idea of a red wave. Have you seen how butthurt they get?
Politics of this. We are 4 months out from the general election, and for the Biden campaign, they have.
Yeah, Arstar, but I will say it's because I'm progressive. It's not because I'm a fucking. It's not because I'm like in between the two parties. No. I'm not a terrible person, you know.
Years, and Donald Trump called for the suspension of the Constitution, to terminate all the rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. He's talked about being a dictator for a day. And during those Supreme Court oral arguments,
Thanks for the follow, Gov.
his lawyer was directly asked the questions about whether official acts would include an attempted coup, whether.
Oh no, Jevons. Oh, you got me. Oh, I agree. It's almost.
Wanna come up? Depending on where the Supreme Court takes this, could have serious implications on the.
You want to cuddle while we find out if the American experiment is dead or not?
The White House, but for Donald Trump, there is an acknowledgement of not only how he could potentially use the executive branch, but also the impact it could have on any attempt to seek charges against the current president, Joe Biden. Just this morning in an interview with the right-wing program, I just want to read to you.
Yeah. Oh, sure, Arstar.
The impact of this decision.
Can you stop?
This is what he said, Katie. Quote, you know the immunity statement that's coming out, they say today, that is going to be very interesting to see what happens, but I think it has a bigger impact on Joe Biden than it has on me, actually. Of course, Donald Trump has repeatedly over the last year suggested that he could seek retribution and seek to investigate Joe Biden for his unspecific, unalleged crimes if he were to get back into the White House, Donald Trump, in 2025.
Yeah, prosecutors will tell you you need evidence, you need a case, you got to get an indictment first, and then you got to be able to try that case. And so far, we've seen no evidence produced by Republicans based on Joe Biden, his criminal conduct that they called. We've seen no evidence of that, and there's been a House Select Committee or a House Committee trying to find that now for a few years. All right, let's bring in Mike Beverly. Ben, how is the White House? How is the Biden campaign watching this?
Well, Katie, let's start with what the decision itself could mean as we look at how the Biden
I will,
campaign
look, I don't block people for disagreeing with me, but I will block people for being shitty. I don't have the patience for fascists.
High on that list is this idea that whatever checks, whatever guardrails there are on presidential power could be
they usually drop starting at 10 a.m., so any moment now, basically.
Quoting him and saying, being a dictator on day one, somebody who would potentially use the office more for driving a personal agenda than for an agenda for the American people. So that, as they look at the major Supreme Court decisions they were preparing for here at the end of the term, this particular one was very high on that list. I think we also have to acknowledge reality as well, too, in that the Biden campaign wants to be talking about anything other than what happened on Thursday night today, and this is a significant development. This is a significant potential moment in our country's history as we lay out the potential guardrails for presidential immunity. So this will give them an opportunity to pivot away from the discussion that's been happening publicly and privately throughout the weekend about whether President Biden should remain on the ticket for the Democratic Party and focus back on the substance. This is going to be something that takes time, Katie, the decision the president has to make about moving forward. And so the more time that they have to talk about other important issues is a win for the Biden team.
Yeah, I wonder though, Peter, I mean, if this decision comes out and there's any ambiguity on whether the president has immunity, if there are stakes raised by this decision, whether that really puts a conversation about President Biden at the side, or does it only heighten the concern about Biden?
Well, look, obviously, the concerns about President Biden are pretty strong right now, specifically within his own party.
I know.
That's the trend. I think Mike is right in the sense that they would rather be talking about issues of constitutional import and, Donald Trump's alleged criminal behavior than the president's, capacity and performance last week. It gives him, in effect, a few hours of political immunity.
Oh, thank God, Ghost. Please do.
Or solve the problem. But it does kind of remind us of the stakes involved here. And this is one reason why Democrats are upset. They're not upset at Joe Biden in large form. They're because they like Joe Biden for the most part. They're upset at the idea that Joe Biden may not be able to beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump is
Aaron, putting this all on the shoulders of exactly one individual who has honestly done more for us than the majority of people in government is a little bit naive to me.
Chuck, just talk to me about the complexity.
There was about a 6-month period where if she had resigned, Democrats had a majority and would be able to replace her with a, more reasonable fucking justice. Like 6 months. And you're mad because she wasn't somehow psychic, whereas the entire Democratic Party dropped the fucking ball like no other in 2016, and then again now and you know what I mean? The entire DNC has been really fumbling for well over a decade, and we're gonna blame all of this on Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Really?
We're getting into breaking news because the background behind us is turned red.
So this is 6-3. The 3 liberal justices are.
Sure, Aaron, but I don't know. I hear a lot of people complaining about RBG specifically, rather than trying to place it. It's I think it's just so easy to chalk it up to one person's inability to tell the future. One person who again did more than pretty much anyone else in government in several decades for us. One person who, by the way, was not sick at the time, she had not had cancer or anything like that for a few years. I think a decade or something at that point. Who was not the oldest Supreme Court justice. on the stand. She was not the oldest. Who, you know, like, I mean, it's like that just makes it so much easier to like not have to acknowledge exactly how badly the DNC is fucking failing at its job, to just be like, oh yeah, if only RBG had not stepped down like before dying. If only a lot of fucking things, but if you think that's the one thing that would have saved us, come on.
Very complicated, and we've just seen this in the last couple of minutes, but it is a 6-3 decision that does side with
RPG did not despise Roe v. Wade, dude.
For example,
Stop lying.
much of the indictment that Jack Smith has is about Trump pressuring the Justice Department officials in various ways. The court says that was part of Donald Trump's official duties as president, and
oops, no.
That Jack Smith has.
Ooh, Supreme Court. Trump not fully immune from criminal charges. Okay. Not full immunity.
Trump's official duties as president, and that he is immune for that. Another part of the indictment is about Trump and what he did with the vice president with respect to the false certification of electors and stopping the January 6th certification. With that, the court says, the majority says, that's a difficult issue. They remand it back. That means give it back to the district court to decide whether or not the presumption of immunity has been overcome by what Jack Smith has been able to adduce about this not being an official act. And then there's a third bucket of allegations in the indictment, which are about whether Trump pressured state officials and private parties and members of the general public to engage in his scheme on January 6th. And with respect to that, the court again sends that back to the trial court for an evaluation of whether that overcomes the presumption.
I'm trying to get like a written summary, but I can't find it.
So if I'm reading, and again, there may be caveats because I'm reading this pretty quickly, it means that the district court is going to have the hearing that Andrew has mentioned about an evidentiary hearing to decide some of these questions that can take place before the election, but it does make.
Well, I agree, Twitch TV Caco Riot. He shouldn't have run again, so that he could be prosecuted as just someone who's not running for president again. Like, sorry, it's like no one's fault but his own that he's like running for re-election while he's being prosecuted for crimes that he committed previously. Like, he's never stopped. You understand, he hasn't stopped running for re-election since he first fucking ran in like 2015. He's been running for close to 10 years at this point. So what you're saying is everyone has to like sit back and wait for him to be done trying to become president until they prosecute him for crimes he committed within that like time period? You really fucking, I mean, if so, that's great. Let me go like rob a bank and start running for president now. Like, awesome.
Also has to be excluded. That was one of the concerns of Jack Smith and his team in their reply brief to this court. Wait, is it excluded from the evidentiary hearing or excluded from?
Yeah, David, if you don't know what a statute of limitations is versus statute, I don't expect you to understand.
Speech as evidence in a trial against somebody. Well, so you can use things that are protected.
Yes, Mace, I agree.
Part of the buildup for why there is wrongdoing. Maybe that's the case with respect to this mini trial that we have all been discussing.
For official act, sure.
Trial itself, testimony or private records of the president or his advisors that probe official conduct that otherwise would be immune from prosecution may not be admitted as evidence at trial. Let's bring in Yamiche Elson, or Yamiche, you have some more top lines for us as well.
Well, this is, as you said, a really historic day here. This is the Supreme Court setting a brand new standard for presidential immunity, and they're saying here, as we've been talking about, that he is entitled, president, to of absolute immunity here for official acts. Now, some of those official acts include contacts with the Department of Justice, contacts with the Vice President. We know in the case of former President Trump, he is alleged to it, and we know that he did this in some cases, that he was pressuring his Vice President to overturn. There was also the 2020 election. He was also looking to possibly install someone at the DOJ who would then overturn or seek to overturn the results of the 2020 election. And today, the Supreme Court is saying that those are official acts and likely are going to be immune. Now, there is going to be, as you said, this sort of mini trial to decide what are official acts or what are not official acts. But as I'm reading through this decision and thinking through this decision, there were a number of times where people said things like, well,
That's kind of the question, Mr. P. That's like a very big question.
appointing an ambassador, what if he takes a bribery?
Some bits of it were sent to the lower courts.
Someone who is an opponent, a political opponent. It sounds like what the Supreme Court is saying is that when it comes to constitutional acts like appointing ambassadors, that those are official acts that would be immune. Possibly, though, when he's acting as a private citizen, when he's acting as a candidate, those other acts might not be immune here. I think it's important to also point out here that not all of acts here are immune. They're setting the standard, but also there's going to have to be a real conversation about what sort of acts are official and what aren't. I also want to point out that when you think about what former President Trump was saying here, this is a big win for him. Essentially, he was saying that the things that he was doing to try to probe the government, essentially.
Oh, you're bitter, Owen.
He had lost. That those things should be.
No one wants to see you naked, huh?
It's taking his side in a big way, and this really does complicate, not imperil, but complicate the special counsel's trial here, the special counsel's push to get a trial here, and the special counsel's push to try to get him to be criminally prosecuted for some of the acts where he tried to push for the 2020 election to be overturned, Katie.
Yamiche, thank you very much. Let me just read a little bit from this majority opinion, again done by Chief Justice Roberts, as predicted by this table. He says, we conclude that under our constitutional structure of separated powers, the nature of presidential power requires that a former president have some immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts during his tenure in office. At least with respect to the president's exercise of his core constitutional powers, this immunity must be...
That's not how cases work. The president doesn't bring cases. Stop spreading misinformation if you clearly don't know how things work. Like very basic things, dude. Have you graduated from like middle school? Do you not learn how the government works?
Instead, whether a presumptive immunity is sufficient. All right, so that's more context.
He deserves immunity during a campaign. Oh, Jesus. Cool. So, like I said, I'll just run for president right after I rob a quick bank.
Of his office and all that he had behind it to try and get multiple different actors across the country in multiple different capacities to take back the results of the 2020 election, the democratically
Cyber.
2020 election, which he lost.
Squash. They said that's what you got from that. They said official acts can't be prosecuted. Official acts, but unofficial acts, you're not immune. But good job on your reading comprehension.
He did that in state houses in Arizona. There are fake sets of electors. He also did that by ginning up enough doubt among the American public to cause, as is argued, a insurrection on the Capitol. There is still a wide range of doubt among his supporters that the 2020 election was stolen because he said it was over and over again. We should also note that he brought a number of cases. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's in the dozens. 63 cases. Didn't win a single one of them. In fact, I think 62 of them, Lisa, were all dismissed.
Well, so that's the question of like.
Had any evidence that the election was
Project 2025 is very real.
Fraud, and yet to this day, he still continues to claim it, and he pushed all the levers he could. And we saw this publicly. We've seen evidence of this in indictments and from testimony to try and get the election overturned. That doesn't seem to have bearing, though, on this opinion. Am I wrong?
Fully was, dude.
I think this is going to be complicated because it's a complicated decision. The first thing to recognize is there are 3 buckets of presidential activity that the court deals with. Purely personal conduct that a president engages in. They just happen to be in office, but it's personal. That would include, for instance, in the New York criminal case, they talked about his signing checks for the reimbursement of the hush money payments. That's personal conduct, and the court in the majority says
no. So there's different parts to the ruling. Some parts were pushed back to the lower courts. Some were like ruled on. So it's like a multi-part sort of thing. They basically were like,
prerogatives
I mean, the main thing that they said is like they're not immune from everything, from prosecution for everything. Definitely not for unofficial acts. But the question is like, what's an official act, right?
Absolutely immune. And so
Thank you,
then
Kelsey.
You have this middle bucket, and that is where
Where'd she go?
the devil's going to be in the
She's
details.
off
Where the
looking at
court
birds.
says, at least for now,
Exactly,
one, you
Cyber.
have to determine whether it's personal or official. And two, right now the court has said we're going to engage in at least a presumption, but it doesn't rule out saying they might give more later. And so that it's that second group that is going to be sent back, and Tanya Chutkan could have that.
Oh, now you care about classified documents, Josh? That's convenient.
What she thinks is personal and thus not actually covered. So
I thought, don't you believe that, what, aren't you like in the camp that believes that he can like declassify things just with his mind?
I think there's another interesting question, Katie. I mean, this is about the January 6th case.
Yeah, my background is like just the one that comes with MacBook. Yeah, my pleasure, Kelsey.
Would Judge Eileen Cannon take whatever's here and try to use it to...
Only going by your... No, Josh, because here's the thing. Whether or not president has immunity does not actually define whether each individual president has committed specific prosecutable crimes. You know what I mean? Just because we say, oh, okay, not Trump, but like presidents are not immune from prosecution for unofficial acts doesn't mean that all of a sudden every president ever has committed crimes in their unofficial acts. And it definitely doesn't mean that like what you perceive want to be like a crime or at least a prosecutable crime is. Does that make sense? I doubt it does make sense to you, but.
Lisa.
So, Kitty, in this decision...
Oh yeah, Josh, let's find that.
Let's
find the source on that.
Not only these buckets, but specific allegations. And one of the things they're holding is that Trump is absolutely...
Of course he doesn't have a source on it, Tech.
This is not remanded for fact-finding by Judge Chutkan. With respect to discussions he had with the Department of Justice, you'll remember shortly before the 6th, he was involved in conversations with an attorney named Jeffrey Bossert Clark, who was then serving as, I believe, the acting Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Division. He wanted to send a letter to Georgia legislators, basically telling them that they needed to recertify and send up new votes or
Her said it himself.
Their electoral
Okay.
certificate.
You got sources on any of this? You're just talking out of your butt.
With then acting Attorney General Jeff Rosen, his deputy
Statuette of limitations.
from prosecution from those bucket of conduct. The next thing that they say is, what about Trump's efforts to influence Vice President Mike Pence? And there they say, this is where the presumption comes in, that the burden is on the government to rebut that presumption, but that they can
Thanks for
see
follow, Evan.
circumstances in which the presumption would fall away with respect to the efforts to influence Mike Pence. It's the remaining allegations that really are in that fuzzy land.
I know, right, Kelsey? I mean, it depends on the state, to be fair. Some states you can vote as a phone. Hi, Philippe.
To his interactions with persons outside the executive branch, the state officials, private parties, the general public. Those are allegations where Judge Chutkan will then have to determine whether his conduct qualifies as official or unofficial. And then the final category that they're talking about is what happened on January 6th itself. And they say, look, the president possesses extraordinary power to speak to his fellow citizens and on their behalf as part of a core presidential function.
I have so much hate in my heart. Why? Because I believe in like the rule of law. I thought you guys were like, thank you, Philippe. Thank you for the donut. I thought you guys were like the party of law and order. But aren't you like also just electing a fucking felon and arguing that presidents should be able to commit any crimes they want and like never be prosecuted for them? Not even realizing that like not your guy is in the office right now, and if that were true, he could literally like anyone without being prosecuted. Like, you guys just don't think through your shit. You just don't think.
We've seen that already. By the way,
This has opened the door to delay.
Oh boy.
This is not going to happen before the election. The trial is not going to happen before the election. That seems inconceivable to me. By the way,
Just keep in mind one thing. We were talking earlier about the crazy successor problem. If Mr. Biden loses and Mr. Trump wins...
Okay,
this is
Heaven,
gonna also
except
cost Mr.
that
Biden.
He can't be prosecuted
legally
if,
you're incorrect. So
if the president, if Donald Trump's folks.
your
try to
opinion, like no one cares about your
something out of
opinion.
context and prosecute
Not for
You know,
official act, not
definitely
for
not the law.
constitutional responsibility would make it
Definitely not the
virtually
law.
impossible.
Which I suspect you are very much not well educated in, if you don't understand.
What does it mean for this particular case? We knew at the outset that this sense of having this go to trial was going to be almost impossible. This makes it absolutely clear there will not be a trial before November for the reasons as Chuck said. But there will be a hearing. And so there is this ability to have White House counsel, Mike Pence,
Yeah,
all sorts of
Chevron.
witnesses and evidence that was not heard
Chevron's
in the
fucking
January
awful.
6th
People are not freaking out
hearings
about Chevron
not
nearly
being
enough.
heard by Judge Chutkan in deciding what is official, which is what is
That doesn't
not.
fly in the face of what Lisa was saying a moment ago?
I don't think so. There will be a hearing that Judge Chutkan can have. That's sort of the small picture, but in some ways the thing that people are most focused on. Big picture.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely
is
not
that,
voting
I
for
mean, this
Trump,
is a
dude.
terrible decision
I don't
if
want to
you
vote for
think
Biden,
that
but like,
presidents should be
you
treated
know,
like anyone
when
else.
you guys
This
run
is
someone like
backed
Trump,
by the
people
court.
like me
This is
have
not
to vote
in
for
the
Biden.
Constitution.
So thank you so much. Maybe if you actually were like running not fucking terrible people and not a terrible platform,
Biden and Donald Trump. She says,
you know, I wouldn't have to.
Today's decision to grant former presidents criminal
Kimberly, no one's,
reshapes the
you know, forcing you to be here.
of the presidency. It makes a mockery of the principle foundational to our Constitution and system of government that
I'll block
no
you,
man
don't
is
worry.
above the law, relying on little more than its own misguided wisdom about the need for, quote, bold and unhesitating action by the president. Ante at 313, the court gives former President Trump all the immunity he asked for and more because our Constitution does not shield a former president from answering
Yeah,
for
David.
criminal and treasonous acts. I dissent. That is
The ruling
very
has come out,
strongly worded.
Nathaniel.
Von Hilliard,
They basically like straddled the line. They're like,
Social media posts in just the last few moments,
no immunity for
she says,
unofficial
"Oh,
acts.
quote, big win for our
Technically,
Constitution,"
immunity
and then
for
obviously
official
Biden
acts
connected
ish.
American with an exclamation point. For Donald Trump, he went from calling for absolute immunity to strong immunity right here this morning before this decision came out. And for obviously him and his team, there's not only the repercussions of these
Yeah, my
charges
pleasure.
brought against him
Michelle.
as part of the alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election, but also if he were to win the general election 4 months from now in November, the potential impact.
No, Zuckerberg, this has nothing to do with like the actual.
Von Hilliard, thank you so much.
This isn't a ruling on his case. This is a ruling on like immunity, on like just actual law, basically.
As much as Trump is as a victory for him, saying, quote, today's ruling doesn't change the facts. So let's be very clear about what happened on January 6th. Donald Trump snapped after he lost the 2020 election.
God.
Encouraged a mob to overthrow
You go on for
results
fucking
of the
hours,
2020
Alex. What a
election.
broad
Trump was already
question.
running for president as a convicted felon for the very same reason he sat idly by while the mob violently attacked the Capitol. He thinks he's above the law and he's willing to do anything to gain and hold on to power for himself. Going on since January 6th, Trump has only grown more unhinged. He's promising to be a dictator on day one.
That is exactly what happened January 6th, just me.
That's in quotes, so he can regain power and promising a, quote, bloodbath if he loses. The American people already rejected Donald Trump's self-obsessed
Thank you for
quest
the
power
rose,
once.
KT.
Joe Biden will make sure they reject it for good in November. Once again, that is a senior Biden campaign advisor to NBC News.
John, thank you very much. And just a correction on my part, I just said that was Sotomayor's dissent that I read, that very strongly worded dissent. It was actually Judge...
Were you just me?
Let's go to Leah Lippman.
Sounds like it.
Actually, first we're going to go to Neil Katyal for just a moment. Neil, I know you wanted to get in on this.
Yeah, I mean, I want to zoom out and not talk about.
So you were at J6? I should. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. I'll let the FBI know.
6-3 decision along what looked to the American public like partisan line. 6 Republican appointed justices siding with Trump, 3 Democratic appointed justices siding against Trump, and it is a momentous, major decision. And I want to read to you from what Justice Sotomayor.
Oh, they already know? Oh my god, you fucking were. Jesus. Oh, you're bad.
She says,
Yikes, dude.
"Yet
I do
the
not
history
want
of
terrorists
is
in
a
my
precedent that reasonably
fucking
he'd be immune from
life.
criminal prosecution if he used the trappings of his office to violate the criminal law. Moving forward, however, all former presidents will be cloaked in such immunity. If the occupant of that office misuses official power for personal gain, the criminal law that the rest of us must abide will not provide a backstop." And here's how she ends her
I love how
dissent.
even Trump walked back what he was asking for in terms of total immunity. Because someone finally explained to him, like, bro, if they grant total immunity, that means that Biden could just right now. Could just you right now. And he finally realized, like this week or something.
It's not just about the Trump January 6th case, it's about every president who goes forward, indeed possibly Trump next year.
Yes, sorry, I should update the text. There was a ruling, it's basically like a mixed ruling. They're saying no immunity for unofficial acts.
This is according to the dissent, which, it seems like as grave a shift in our constitutional system as any in our lifetimes.
Let me bring in a little bit more from Sotomayor's dissent, because she gets into some of the specifics that were argued in court. She says, looking beyond the fate of this particular prosecution, the long-term consequences of today's decision are stark. The court effectively creates a law-free zone around the president, upsetting the status quo that has existed since the founding. This new official acts immunity now lies about like a loaded weapon for any president that wishes to place his own interests, his own political survival, or his own financial gain above the interests of the nation. The President of the United States is the most powerful person in the country and possibly the world when he uses his official powers in any way.
Thank you for the heart me wafty.
Now will be insulated from criminal prosecution.
RFK literally had his brain eaten by a worm, Mary. He's not a viable option, unfortunately.
Organizes a military coup to hold on to
I'd love for him to be.
Takes a bribe in exchange for a pardon. Immune, 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 immune. Let the president violate the law. Let him exploit the trappings of his office for personal gain. Let him use his official power for evil ends. Because if he knew
Am I gonna cry? No, Mike. Are you gonna cry?
He might not be as bold and fearless as we would like him to be.
Hi, Nas.
From the majority opinion that she's using here.
Give RFK a break, Nas.
Today.
It is still my favorite thing, Nas, that you thought I was lying about that. Every time I say it now, I think of you and I wonder if you're in here. I'm not even kidding. I think of you every fucking time I talk about RFK's brainworm.
Is now a king above the law. That is all from Justice Sotomayor's dissent. Neil, she's arguing that he can assassinate somebody now. Is that what this majority opinion is saying?
Yeah, Masi, you know he has brain damage, right? From mercury poisoning and a brainworm. No one's immune to JFK's haircut. Also, he has some crazy fucking stances. I don't even remember. Like, once I learned that he's just, like, his brain is Swiss cheese, I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to, like... I just sort of, like, stopped thinking about his stances, but there's some fucking crazy stances in there.
A clarion call for the American public to understand the law, the courts are not going to protect us against a president who wants to violate the law.
Well, maybe like just like 65 myalgia at least. You know what I mean? At the very least, 65. There's like so many jobs where you can't work past 65. And it's like, why not this?
And to do what you want for your personal ends. So this is a really grave decision. And I think we should be focused on the Justice Sotomayor's warning and not the technical details just about what this means for the January 6th prosecutions.
Chuck.
Well, I'm still reading.
Yeah, myalgia.
I don't see anything here that says the assassination of a political rival is part of the president's core constitutional responsibilities for which he or she would be absolutely immune. The problem, I think, is that much of this is indeterminate, right? That we know certain things are absolutely immune, and we know that purely private conduct is not. And
I mean,
those other official acts which are presumptively immune, you have to have a case-by-case factual analysis. So, there is a lot more immunity here than I would have imagined, and I think it sets up some dangers.
I don't know, Mozzie. Something you said got filtered by TikTok automatically.
Of a political rival.
Lisa, I know you have a couple more pages you want to bring in. I do. I really want to talk about pages 30 through 32 of the majority of.
No, Mary. I think Jesus, whatever, Mary. I'm not gonna explain to you why RFK is cuckoo bananas.
This case looks like going forward. This is where the majority is saying not only is the president immune.
Which part,
with
femme?
respect to his official acts, but evidence of those official acts can't come into any trial. With respect to what we think about in terms of what this indictment is about, that threatens to eviscerate what this trial will ultimately look like when it goes to trial. I'm going to read to you, Katie.
Not eligible for the For You page.
On page 31. If official conduct for which the president is immune may be scrutinized to help secure his conviction, even on charges that purport to be based
I just appealed. May have to hop off soon. No, heck. Thank you, Noah. CryptoMax, stop spamming, dude. Oh, Jesus, Mary. People, like, take everything at face value. What are you saying, Mary? Like, ignore evidence? Ignore clear evidence of who someone is based on what they say and do? And look past that? Look past who a person is and just imagine who they could be in your imagination? Is that what you're arguing for, Mary? And then vote for the person you imagine someone could be if they weren't exactly who they are? Okay, Mary. Okay. Thank you, Wafty.
Some of what Jack Smith alleged actually falls within the scope of the president's official duties. This was, for example, President Trump pressuring the Department of Justice to potentially, put together a false slate of electors. And they refused to rule out the possibility that the rest of what Donald Trump is alleged to have done,
Thank you for the heart, me.
vice president, including being involved in the false slate of electors, including trying
Wait, I was trying to find a fucking comment.
They refuse to say that that is actually outside
Here we
the
go.
scope of the outer perimeter of the president's official duties. I think that's one reason why Justice Sotomayor says she is concerned about the future of our democracy after this opinion, because the court refuses to rule out the possibility that these outlandish and anti-democratic activities of the president are potentially within the president's official duties, and that's why when she reads the majority
Bum bottom bottom. Bum bottom bottom. Bum bottom bum bottom bum bottom bum. That's not true, femme. No, he can't just do anything. That's not.
all we care is that he was consulting with the Department of Justice, and that renders it an official act that's entitled to immunity.
By the way, I should introduce you formally. Leah Littman joins us.
Presentational immunity? You mean presidential? Rose?
Leah, I'm sorry for the lack of introduction, but I'm happy you're here and happy to hear your opinions on this. Do you think that, how much of Jack Smith's case do you think survives this?
I think the ruling is written in a way that is very pro-Trump, because they are directing the lower courts to apply a presumption of immunity and basically direct the lower courts to go through and carefully look at every allegation and ask whether it falls within the presumption of immunity. They also iterate that the government...
My only concern, creative, is that if one president expands the court, what's to stop the next guy from doing it? You know what I mean? We're just going to have like a string of presidents expanding the court over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, I think, yeah, it would be great. Probably should. But also, the next guy is going to do it. And the one after that. And the one after that. Yeah, fam. until literally everyone, yeah, they'll just keep expanding it until every American is part of the court, and then it just becomes a direct democracy where everyone in America votes on constitutional law. I love it. That's a new approach I hadn't heard before. Smart. Big Mama, tell me you have no idea what the word communism means without telling me you have no idea what the word communism means. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good argument. Romarine. Yeah, so most simply, whatchamacallit, summarized, is hey Diego. They said that a president is only immune for official quote unquote acts, and they sent it back down to the lower courts to decide what the official acts are. So it's very beneficial to Trump for sure. Thanks for the follow, Miguel. Fucking ironic coming from someone with the username Big Mama. I agree, Edwin. It's going to be figured out by the courts, Saucy.
There's a little more that I want to read from page 32. Again, Lisa directed us to pages 30, 31, and 32 before. Here's an interesting portion of it.
It's very beneficial to Trump because he has such a friendly judge right now. Yes, Fem. And not just they, but a very, very pro-Trump judge gets to decide what's official and what's unofficial. So. I'm hungry. Let me grab a protein bar. Hey, Philippe, you still in here? Will you send me photos of the wedding invite so I can see what it looks like and stuff and what it says? Please. Oh, Fem, thank you for reminding me I have to pay my rent today. No, Diego, I have to keep editing it. My live is ineligible for the For You page, so there's fewer and fewer people in here, but... Yes, Saucy, but it's not like Biden is trying to overturn an election, right? Also, like, a ruling in the court on a specific action taken by a president doesn't necessarily mean there's precedent for, like, any president ever being able to do that thing or having it, you know what I mean? Like, in the same way that, like, sometimes someone ending another person is manslaughter, is involuntary manslaughter, and sometimes it's murder in the first degree. You know? So just because this judge is like, oh yeah, Trump, everything he did was official and it's fine, doesn't mean that, like, the next president couldn't like do the same things and then be prosecuted and be found to be operating in an unofficial manner by like a different judge. Is my understanding. That judge will usually have to look at precedent from the previous rulings of the other judge, but if the other judge can like rule in such a way that is so narrow that only like applies to that specific circumstance, then the next judge can basically create their own precedent. Yeah, but not every side is like trying to stage insurrections when they lose, coach. It is yummy. It's called Grab One. There's the. It's called Grab One, and it's caramel crunch. Hi, God. Don't worry, my chat is back on the TikTok app, so I've been able to block people. Like, that should take you out, Presidente. Coach, you're ridiculous. No. Presidente's gone. He's dead. You got alcohol poisoning. Coach, if you're a Republican, doesn't that mean that you like that? Don't you like a government that prioritizes corporations over people? So you overthrew the government on behalf of Republicans because you think Democrats are too in the pockets of corporations? Like, look, I'm not even going to, like, argue with you. I think both major parties are absolutely in the pockets of corporations. But, you know, my conclusion isn't then, oh, okay, Republicans are better on that. Thanks for the follow, Creative Goddess. I would love for him to drop out political common sense. I never wanted him. William, do you have children? Thanks for the follow, Tater. Yeah? Okay. So, based on your previous comment, you are celebrating. You're happy about the Chevron ruling? You're happy that Chevron doctrine was overturned? How old are your children, William? Oh, cool. So you're not educating your children. Good for you, William. Still still, I mean, I assume that maybe you don't love your children, but at least you like them a little bit, right? Chevron, the overturning of the Chevron doctrine means that a hell of a lot more products are going to poison your kids than they did before. That's like straight up what it means. Your kids will be able to be poisoned by a hell of a lot more products because of the Chevron doctrine being overturned. Not only that, you will be protected much, much, much less at work. I mean, just like living your life in general. But if you want to play fast and loose with yourself, your own bodily safety, fine, that's fine. But like usually people understand that the reason, baby food isn't supposed to have lead in it is because of regulatory agencies, right? The reason that children's clothing isn't supposed to have like cancer-causing chemicals in them, and I say isn't supposed to because the irony is that we have kneecapped regulatory agencies like so much anyway that they fucking struggle to actually prevent that shit from ending up in your children's products. Like, but now with Chevron the Chevron overturning, it's going to be 10,000 times worse. So like you are celebrating the fact that, I mean, give it a year or two, you will be seeing like products that your children use day in and day out, poisoning them in ways that before were prohibited. Cool. Great parenting. I mean, it is true. Antoinette is 1,000% true. That's how things work. Oh yeah, John. I mean, that's the irony, right? Like a lot of the regulatory agencies were already kneecapped. We're already very, very weak in this country because we permitted so much control of them to come from the corporations they were supposed to be regulating. So the regulations are very weak in this country already. Large swaths of the rest of the world have way, way, way stricter and better regulations that keep their populations way safer than we do in the U.S. My point is that overturning Chevron, like, that is just, now it's a fucking free-for-all. Now it's an absolute fucking free-for-all. Like, what little weak-ass regulation we had keeping us barely safe, barely. That's out the window. So you can say, like, it doesn't matter because there was already, like, no regulation. But, like, no. There was very little and very weak regulation before. Now it's just, like, just fucking wait till you see what no regulation actually means. Just wait. Yeah, no. Don't even get me started on that. Yeah, exactly. Idealist. Wow, great argument, Beach Buddy. You got them. Cyber. Woo! Yeah, they love it. Lead paint is sweet, right? That's why. For me, Derek. It's always like incredible to me how many people like don't understand that regulations don't just apply to like half the country. Like, if my food is poisoned, your food is poisoned. You know this, right? And in fact, actually, regulations are much weaker in red states, so you're actually getting poisoned at way higher rates than like me. So, which explains a lot of the whole lead paint stare shit, or lead stare, I should say. It does, yeah.
And it's hard to imagine that a president, including Mr. Trump, would kill a political rival and then try to hide behind this case. I don't think it offers that much help to him. In the main, in this particular case, it's going to be hard for the prosecution. But if I were the prosecutor in this case, Katie,
It depends on what you're measuring, Justin.
is marshal my arguments that very, very few of the things we alleged are core constitutional prerogatives of the president. That many of them are private, but not
I'm just someone who fucking researches and studies this for my work, basically.
what I'm trying to do. So yeah,
So you can argue they're actually not official.
correct, and that they're not entitled to immunity. And so does my burden as a prosecutor get more difficult? Absolutely. Have I lost this indictment and this trial? Absolutely not. And so I would tell everyone
My condolences, LA.
and then reassess.
As I promised, I want to bring in Melissa Murray, NYU law professor, MSNBC legal analyst, and former law clerk, to then Judge Sonia Sotomayor.
I live in I don't live in Oregon.
Totally disagree with Chuck. I don't think that this is an opinion that across the board is meant to be a neutral assessment of the scope of
Boingo.
who went through this indictment and identified some
Lewd acts? Oh, Flo, bro, don't tell me you're triggered. Don't tell me you're triggered.
official or unofficial presumptively subject to no to immunity or
You know, studies show that people who are more extremely like homophobic and stuff tend to actually themselves have tendencies. It's a self-hating thing. It's literally like the psychological definition of projection. Like actual psychological studies show this. It's not like a meme. It's not just like a random cliche. It's like an actual psychological phenomenon. I'm not the one implying it's bad. You're the one who's like whining about lewd acts during Pride. What lewd acts? People just being people?
one aspect here where they specifically talk about the allegations involving Donald Trump's conversations with Mike Pence, where Donald Trump allegedly tried to get Mike Pence to intervene to stop the certification of the Electoral College.
I agree, Millie.
The opinion says that whenever the
Name a study? Sure. Well, Google it. There's a couple, I'm pretty sure.
official, and the burden then is on the government to disprove that it's outside of the scope of official conduct. That totally constrains the government. It's also the case here that the opinion suggests that conduct that is outside of the scope, that is not subject to prosecution, cannot be used as evidence to establish that other conduct that is within the scope of prosecution has happened. So that also
An overview of scientific studies.
it would be hard to sort of say it's just about the presidency full stop. It's about the presidency of Donald
There's a bunch of them. Let's see. Ay, ay, ay.
When you said I'm drawn to something that Justice Thomas wrote, this concurrent opinion, because the words used sound
H.E. Adams, Ellie Wright Jr., B.A. Lore, titled Is Homophobia Associated with Homosexual Arousal? Yes. Let's see. There's another one here. These are just summaries.
and he's got the stamina, and he's got the force of will, and he's got the energy in him as again to be president.
There's another one here. It's even more recent.
Taking a very quick break. It's
Come on. Take me to the study. It's called Is Some Homophobia Self-Phobia? And it's from the University of Rochester. A study. I'm trying to find all the... There we go. How's that? Who asked me for that source? No, those were actual studies that I just cited. Forest River. Sorry that you're so triggered.
With clear skin, Girls' Day Out is a good day out. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla.
Stay up to date on the biggest issues of the day.
Spastic, I just told you 2 of the studies.
Get the best of MSNBC all in one place. Sign up for MSNBC.
Oh, Spastic left. Okay. Plenty of people care, Coach. Yep, then.
Does enjoy quite a bit of immunity for his official acts. There'll be a question on what official acts exactly are. That's going to go down to Judge Chuckin as you've been listening to our conversation around the table. This reads, this is the majority of us here, not me including, because I'm not a lawyer, but the majority of our legal minds believe that this is a pretty negative ruling for the DOJ, for the special counsel, a pretty positive ruling for Donald Trump.
You're asking me, Lola?
Reading it slightly differently. But there's going to be some politics at play here.
He can. Do you guys really not learn? Man, what I feel like Fox News has to get its like messaging straight. Because there's been people in here from the right like who have like completely opposite understandings of what the fucking ruling is. Who's hiding, Justin? Is it just me, or is your profile picture like a fucking cartoon or something? Yeah. Who's hiding? Justin? In Shambo's flow? If I were in Shambo, I can end this live at any point. In fact, I've kept it up a lot longer than I intended to. I have to get back to work. That's a good question, Cecilia. I have to read her dissent. Let me pull it up. Yeah, Cyber. Cyber, I like you. Thank you, Wafty. Thanks for stopping by and for the follow and for the gift.
John, the Trump team is seeing this as a win. Donald Trump is coming out and praising it.
Yeah, it is a win for them, Katie, as folks have been discussing. There have been a couple of levels. Number one, obviously, this obviates the possibility of him being prosecuted before kind of the trial done before the election. But I think even more broadly, former President Trump has been making the argument that he did nothing illegal
That's funny, Billy, considering how triggered people on the right get. Didn't you guys try to, like, take over the Capitol and shit all over it? Fucking animals. Oh, you think Biden did that, Coach? You don't understand the history of anti-BDS laws. Clearly. All y'all got is J6 plus C-Day. What? Why is my period asking me fucking weirdly worded questions that don't make sense? Eleanor Rigby, love your name. Love Eleanor Rigby. 24% inflation. That's not even a little bit true, dude. 15 million illegals, not even a little bit true. Stop spreading misinformation, dude. Stop spreading misinformation. And if you genuinely believe that, you are... I can't even say what you are on here without getting potentially in trouble with the app. But, like, dude... Yeah, Cyber, I know. Here, Cyber, I'm gonna give you some powers here so you can start taking the trash out if you want. Picking the rest of church where the wedding has been. Been a dream. All the lonely people. Where do they all come from? All the lonely people. Wearing a face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Who is it for? All the lonely people. You are wrong about 15 million illegals. I googled this the other day because someone was coming in with the same number. Like, you guys really do like all watch the same source because you all have the exact same piece of misinformation. Yeah, that's just, that 15 million number is literally something that Trump said. That's the source. Trump just pulled a number out of his ass and said it. Yeah, exactly. That's the source on 50 million. Trump said it. Based on what? He can't possibly tell you. Exactly, Sharpie. Good point. No, Irish, up until recently, Biden's border policy were the ones that Trump put in place. And actually, border crossings increased under Trump from Obama. They decreased in the last couple of months of his presidency, which is what he loves to cite. But that's because it was like right in the middle of COVID. That's when travel as a whole decreased all around the fucking globe. But Biden's border policies have literally been the ones that Trump put in place his entire presidency. Up until like a month ago, was it a month ago, 2 months ago? When he when Republicans like did not pass, like refused to pass the bipartisan legislation that would have like actually closed the border significantly, or at least improved on the current fucking situation with the border. And so Biden passed the bits he could with an executive order. So if you're all like afraid about, you know, the open border or whatever, you should be so excited. You should love Biden because he's the one who used an executive order to close the border from Trump's former policies. In fact, the ACLU is currently suing the Biden administration because of the current border policy he put in place, basically limiting the number of like asylum claims. But you don't know any of that, do you? Because you don't care about facts. I mean, Peg, no one likes him, but Trump is a fucking menace. Maybe if you put up a better candidate, people wouldn't be forced to vote for Biden. You ever think of that? My facts are fake, Jenny. I mean, they're 100% true. If you have anything to counter that, you're welcome to like cite some sources, Jenny. I have sources for all of that. I can fucking show you. I mean, mainly the sources are the legislation. You guys know that you can look up legislation, right? You can look up and see what bills have been voted on in Congress. You can see what executive orders have been signed and passed. You can do that, right? No, Planet, that's not the ruling, but nope, absolute immunity is not what was ruled today. Yeah, Tater. John, I've been citing sources. I've been pulling up sources here left and right. I'm sorry that your butt hurt that like facts don't give a shit about your feelings. I'm actually not sorry. I think it's very funny that you guys are triggered by facts. Is a lefty shrill. That's me. Butter, it's not about me being right and you being wrong. It's about I'm looking up information. You guys are literally just listening to Trump and like Fox News and you're just believing things blindly. Anything you want me to look up, I will look up. It will prove you wrong. You think I'm triggered, Jenny, because I keep reading facts? That's being triggered? That explains a lot. That explains so fucking much. That you guys consider it to be triggered when someone like is literally just reading facts. That explains a lot. I mean, yeah, Palpatine, like actual facts. Actual facts. Like actual scientific studies and actual law. It's plain as day. Oh, Jenny. Oh, Jenny. I'm not reading opinion pieces, Kentucky. Do you know what scientific studies are? You can actually pull up scientific papers and stuff. Those are not opinion pieces. Stop spamming, Richard. Thank you, Cyber. Feel free to block, too, Cyber. I don't care. I don't have cats, and I don't have a Subaru. Earlier, we were talking about homophobia, Jersey, and I pulled up a couple. That's not a scientific study, John. It was Jersey, but a bunch of right-wingers are triggered. That's not how science works, user. Sorry. Yeah, I know, right, Deep? Jesus. Yeah, yes, Gov. So, they basically ruled that immunity for official acts. And then they passed it back down to the lower court to decide what acts are official. So, you know. I'm a progressive, Jersey. I don't like Biden, but I'm definitely not fucking voting for Trump. Yeah, Jersey, but I'm also worried about Trump being Trump, dude. I just said I don't like Biden, but Trump is way, 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 way fucking worse. Exactly, Aubrey. I am entitled to my beliefs, yeah, Jersey. Jersey, you should look up Project 2025. Oh, Jenny, you're still here? Good God. You look like a Karen. No, it's a real thing, user. They're very proudly promoting it. Very proudly promoting it. I'm editing protest footage. Sure, Jersey, but I will say that, you know, if you support Trump, you support a lot of horrible things against people, and I don't have to respect that. I respect your right to support Trump, but I don't respect you as a person for supporting Trump. Citibank. I think it's on the 13th, comrade. I gotta remind myself real quick. Thanks for the heart, me, Heather. God, there's too many people commenting I can't keep up with. Is it the 11th? I'm not a communist. Irish. God, feel free to block whoever you want. I'm over it. I'm excited to just get back to fucking editing on my life. Thank you, Nas. Da Vinci Resolve. Happy Steve Bannon goes to prison day. I've been answering a lot of questions, Nick. But I will say there's like 114 people in here. There's a lot of comments. It's kind of hard to see all of them. Also, by the way, TikTok blocks a lot of shit automatically. That is today, Cyber. I don't think you guys realize how much TikTok blocks like automatically, and I have no control over it. Joseph. Cope harder. Oh, thank you, Slip. Yeah, Hannah. They do. They block a lot of things, but they also block things that like you wouldn't expect. You know, a lot of times it's like weird. There's like very odd words that trigger the filters. I mean, barely, Dean. Exactly, Planet. I mean, William asks, if Chevron is so vital to safety products, how did we function prior to 1984? You do understand, like, lead was in everything back then, right? There's a lot of stuff. You ever heard of like radium girls? They literally painted like glow-in-the-dark dials of watches with radioactive paint, and they would lick the paintbrushes, and they like died of very, very painful deaths of radium poisoning. A lot of their like jaws disintegrated and stuff. That was legal in the United States. You know that, right? What else? There's some crazy shit that used to be in baby food. And, I mean, you've heard of all the, like, what is it, like the baby powder, talcum powder, that now, you know, Johnson & Johnson started getting sued because there was, like, asbestos. Asbestos was used in fucking buildings well into the 80s, actually. You actually have to be careful. Anything that's, like, any building that's built, like, in the 80s or earlier, if they use, like, vermiculite for insulation, chances are it has asbestos and stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, you know, sure, we functioned, but there was a hell of a lot more like poisonous things around in 1984 and earlier and stuff. Exactly, Brandon. It's a lot more than just that, William. That's your clapback, William? I listed a few, like, literally off the top of my head. Like, some of the most famously, like, dangerous poisons that were in everyday products. Fucking radioactive material, lead, asbestos. And your answer is, oh. Sounds like a lot. That's your clapback? Okay. Dude, if you want to go lick uranium, lead, and asbestos right now, be my fucking guest. Do us the favor. Please. That's not how that works, Dean. Not even a little bit. Eden, TikTok filters a lot of comments automatically. If you're saying shitty things, TikTok will often block it. So maybe stop saying shitty things. There you go, reasoning salt.
Involved in this case where Jeff Foster Clark has a letter that he wants to send to the legislative leaders of Georgia, telling them pull back your certificate. And that letter ultimately gets squashed by other authorities at the Department of Justice who convince the president, you shouldn't send that, you shouldn't make this guy the attorney general. But if that letter had been sent, and if Georgia and other state legislators had decided, you know what, our certificates of electors, we're just going to pull them back. Those aren't our
Yeah,
legitimate certificates.
exactly. Cultural side.
That too would have been immune from prosecution if that scheme had gone to its full fruition.
We are going to take one more very short break.
I know, right, Brandon? It's fucking terrifying.
Chief Justice John Roberts wrote in his majority about the dissenting opinions and what it tells us about the conversation we're having and the way that he would listen to this conversation, what he would think we were talking about and whether we were going too far. It is interesting. Don't go away. We will be right back in just a second.
Alright, I gotta like hop off this live soon because I'm fucking sore. I gotta get work done. So I'm probably gonna end up restarting the live to just have it be like editing stuff. Yeah, Tater. It's fucking. Oh, I mean, that's transphobic, cultural tide.
With clear skin, Girls' Day Out is a good day out. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla.
Yeah, Roy, basically.
Are you supposed to say, I love you, or I love you? Or congrats, Gail, on the new hip. If there's one flower that can say it all, it's the yellow tulip.
I don't allow hate speech in here.
Introducing Anime, the only custom designer sofa starting at $639. Shop Anime and join thousands of customers who are obsessing over our sofa and learn what sets us apart. Try it for yourself with our satisfaction guarantee.
I mean, it is super tech. Sorry that you're not educated enough to see it.
My friends call me Zam.
Hi, Screen.
I hold a lot of stress in my digestive system, as a lot of women do. When I travel, I get constipated, I get really poop shy. When I started taking DSO1, I immediately noticed how much lighter I felt, vibrant, alive.
Which is a type of democracy, EMH.
And you're not
It's a democratic system of government, so.
I honestly recommend DSO1.
Exactly, cyber. Nice. That's a good Tater. That's a good point. Thank you. It's a good clapback. Oh, John, as if anyone would ever let you lick their face. Good luck, though. Good luck trying.
As a gynecologist, I'm embarrassed to say this. We use deodorant on our armpits, and we kind of make women feel bad about body odor that they get on other parts of our bodies. That's why I created Lumi Whole Body Deodorant.
Yeah, EMH, you should Google Constitutional Republic, and you might learn a couple things about what that actually is. I'm pretty sure, like, it's literally defined as a form of democracy. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the first sentence when it's described. Yes, RNC. They said immunity exists for official acts. And then they kicked it back down to the lower court with a very pro-Trump judge to decide what's official. Exactly. Slimer. Yeah, it's not great. Yes, exactly, Benjamin. That's does not no, Heather. Oh boy.
Okay, the Supreme Court has ruled that Donald Trump, or President, enjoys presidential immunity. Back with me, Maya Wiley, Katie Fang, Paul Butler, and joining us, Eddie Glaude, Princeton University professor and an MSNBC contributor. Before the break, I teased that Chief Justice John Roberts doesn't think that the dissents are, in his words, wholly proportionate to what the court ruled today. And I think that the conversation we've been having today, he'd probably disagree with as well. He says, as for the dissents, they strike a tone of chilling doom that is wholly disproportionate to what the court actually does today. Sotomayor had a very chilling dissent where she said she worries about the fate of democracy.
The chief is mad at the dissenters because he would have loved a unanimous decision. He was concerned that a 6-3 decision with the conservatives in the majority and the moderate justices in dissent would look political. We have a 6-3 decision and it looks political. The lower courts refer to Trump as citizen Trump, making the point that a former president has no special rights. In her dissent, Justice Sotomayor says, now we need to talk about King Trump. She says this decision ultimately creates absolute immunity, and for 3 reasons, which I'll quickly explain. She says, first, the court talks about 4 constitutional responsibilities for which the president enjoys absolute immunity. She asks, why is the court talking about 4
Sorry, I'm just reporting this dude for hate speech.
anything that implicates 4 constitutional responsibilities? But she says, insofar as there's expansive immunity for all official acts, and that use of any official act for any purpose, no matter how corrupt, now the president is immune for that. She says that's as bad as it sounds. And the 4th reason she thinks that this opinion gives absolute immunity to the president, no matter what it says.
Yeah, I have been, God. Somewhat. But usually I report them. Stop spamming, Steven. What a waste of space.
I just know, Katie, that we saw that the adverb respectfully was omitted from the appropriately scathing dissents of Justices Sotomayor and Justice Jackson. You normally will see this kind of deference afforded to colleagues on that bench, and they made it very clear today that they do not respectfully dissent with what was created. They effectively noted in their dissents that they have created for the office of the presidency a God Save the King energy now moving forward. And a lot of us predicted this remand back with a protocol or structure of this analysis.
Okay.
Paul and I were talking during the break.
I gotta get to fucking work, so I'm gonna restart the live later. I mean, I'm gonna take a second and get some fucking like caffeine, and then I'll pop back on with my edit, if that's cool. Thank you guys. Thank you, Cyber, for all your help. Thank you, God. Thank you, Nas. Thank you, everyone.
We always hear about conservatives citing the Federalist Papers and citing historical context, and this is an originalist court that may take an originalist view of things. Well, she cites the Federalist Papers for her purpose. She says the historical evidence that exists on presidential immunity from criminal prosecution